In the not too distant past, anywhere on planet Earth, on Earth, anywhere, if it was a payday, this is what it looked like inside of a bank. This is what it used to look like. Now, I'm a millennial, so I've never actually been inside of a bank before, but I've been told this is what it used to look like. And in my mind, I'm thinking, gosh, if it's a payday and it's a Friday, everyone's going to the bank, they're waving around their paycheck, they're connecting, they're high-fiving. It's a wonderful time to connect with your fellow community members until this device showed up. When that device showed up, all the connection that once occurred inside of that bank slowly disappeared. And this is the first of many times where you and I are now choosing convenience over connection. We're consistently doing this in our personal and professional lives. We're choosing convenience over connection. And it's actually leading to what we now call a connection recession. And I'm going to share the data points with you as to paint the picture as far as how much disconnection there's happening amongst your team members at work. Now, here's the question that we're going to wrestle with today. Does social connection really matter? Now, as humans, you and I, we know that social connection matters, but I'm convinced we're wildly underestimating how important social connection is. So to first answer this question, let's take you to a community at the edge of the world. Right here is a small community called Coca-Cola. Right there where you see that small pin. And right there is a community of population about 1,500 folks. So this is a small community at the edge of Canada. And as you can see by this picture, it is cold. And it is barren, and it can be dark for 20 hours a day during the certain seasons in Coca-Cola. So needless to say, this is a place that lends itself to isolation and disconnection. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, in the not too distant past, they had the highest teen suicide rate of any community on planet Earth. And so this community wanted to do something. They wanted to reverse this tragic trend. So they did something unexpected. They did something rather unusual to combat this problem. They decided to introduce the national sport of Canada into their community. And most of you are thinking, and looking at this picture, thinking, yeah, ice hockey. They probably introduced ice hockey. They did not. It's the other national sport of Canada, the oldest sport of North America, which is lacrosse. So in this very community, at the high school level, they introduced the game of lacrosse, and let me introduce you to the Coca-Cola Grizzlies. And they fell in love with this sport, and they began practicing on the icy Arctic fields. And they began working harder and harder, and they fell more and more in love with the sport. And eventually, the very team that you see pictured there made it to the national championships in Toronto. That's a remarkable story. But the most remarkable thing about this story is, again, for a community that once had the highest teen suicide rate of any community on planet Earth, once they decided to introduce the national sport of Canada, which was lacrosse, and a sense of connection, a sense of belonging took root in this community, that highest teen suicide rate fell to 0. Year after year after year. So my friends, this is the power of social connection. So again, the question is, does social connection really matter? Well, if you're asking the people of Coca-Cola, they would tell you 1,000% yes, it matters. Because for them, it was a matter of life and death. Now, you as HR professionals aren't likely facing the same dire circumstances as our friends in Coca-Cola. But my friends, make no mistake, connection can have just the same amount of transformational power that it did for our friends in Coca-Cola within your multi-generational teams. Now, the more specific question, the critical but underestimated question at the core of our discussion today is the following. Does social connection at work really matter? Well, let's look at the data. Isolation and disconnection are making your multi-generational teams 7 times more likely to disengage, 5 times more likely to miss work, 3 times more likely to underperform, and 3 times more likely to quit. This is the opportunity you have in front of you. We're in a connection recession, but just like with any recession, there's an opportunity to rebound. And it takes small but mighty actions that you can take to actually turn the tide on this and actually reap the incredible benefits of having a fully connected team.